had to come out in the open and clarify the allegations of Imran Khan. He has always said that there are foreign hands which are trying to dethrone him from the power, which are trying to destabilize Pakistan. Currently, Shahbaz Sharif, with his kind of luck that he has had in the last several months, we have seen Pakistan actually going down. Its economy is dwindling, its security apparatus is dwindling. We have seen multiple terrorist attacks happening. So clearly, a total state of anarchy is ensuing in Pakistan, and Imran Khan is probably the strongest figure that because since he's not in the power right now, so he doesn't have anything to show that he could handle it properly. So probably he's going to get a lot of benefit out of the current crisis that Pakistan is revealing. And if there will be an arrest of Imran Khan, one can say that even then he can play the victim card, and the support the base that he has garnered in the past would only increase with the arrest.
Right now, just before he is present in court, Imran Khan has also spoken to some of the Pakistani media. We're given to understand, says will not back down from jail bharo. He in fact is putting the onus on the administration and the institutions there to provide him enough security cover. Now, even when he was injured during campaigning a few months ago, he had claimed that there was an assassination bid against him, which is also why he is now citing security and how it is left to the administration and the government there to ensure that he is safe and secure as he presents himself in court there, Abhishek.
So, of course, Poonam, in fact, the state machinery is badly stuck on the both sides, because at one hand, if they go ahead and arrest Imran Khan, is going to play that victim card and is going to get more sympathy, more support. We know that the elections are due for a few months from now. If they do not arrest Imran Khan, then of course Imran Khan will come out as an invincible person whom the state machinery cannot touch, and he are afraid of Imran Khan being arrested. So clearly, the kind of politics that is being played in Pakistan is very tricky, and somebody who wants to encash this scenario has to tread very carefully, be it Shahbaz Sharif or Imran Khan. Imran Khan comes out currently as one of the strongest leader in Pakistan, who, of course, is saying that in the last 10 months or so that he has been away from power. Pakistan economy, Pakistan security apparatus, Pakistan's overall security system has collapsed. And we can see it on paper that Pakistan's forest reserve has gone down, terrorist attacks have happened. So clearly Imran Khan is a person right now who a lot of stakes are on him, and whatever happens in today's judgment in Lahore court, whether he's arrested or whether the bail failure of him is extended, either way he's going to gain out of this whole episode of him.
Right now, stage is set for high drama. There we are seeing supporters of Imran Khan of PTI already gathered there outside the court premises in Lahore. In a few minutes from now is when we are expecting Imran Khan to appear before the court himself. Remember, this was one of the conditions that was set by the court itself, that Imran Khan needs to be physically present. He had missed these appearances several times in the past, but today he will not be able to get out of it. Imran Khan also promising that he will appear before the court. It is up to the state government, it's up to the administration there to ensure that enough and adequate security is present. Kamar Chima, strategic and political analyst from Pakistan, joins us on this broadcast. International affairs expert here in India, Rabindranath Sachdev, also with me. But Kamar Chima, I would like to get you in first. Is this a catch-22 situation really for the Pakistani administration? Because if Imran Khan is arrested, if there is action against him via the police, that perhaps only is going to increase the sympathy vote for him come elections.
Well, what I think in this situation, it seems is that Imran Khan was using delaying tactics not to appear in front of the court. So he was doing delaying tactics, one thing. Second, he was flouting the High Court. He was not going to the court. The court was giving him chances to appear in front of that. So it was happening since few days. So with every passing day, the option for Imran Khan was ending. So now he has come forward. He has decided to go because there is a strong possibility he will be arrested. There is a strong possibility. Pakistan at this time is passing through the worst constitutional crisis in the country because the president of Pakistan has just given the dates for the provincial elections in Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is not his constitutional mandate. the election commissions in Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where Imran Khan was having power, was asked to give the dates in 90 minutes, and the election commission is citing reasons that there is no proper security, there are financial issues, and the security agents apparatus is not giving the security. The reason behind is because the rise of resurgence of terrorism in Pakistan. So looking all that, Imran Khan has asked his president, because RFLV was his president, his party's president, to give a date. So they have deliberately given dates on the time when Imran Khan is going to the court, when Imran Khan is just appearing the court, and president of the country has just announced the dates. Now history has told that the president has never given the dates for the elections. This is unprecedented, that the president comes up and give a date for the provincial assemblies elections. So this is a constitutional crisis. This will definitely go to Imran Khan. In another way, is pressurizing the courts. So on one hand, he will go to the court. He will be taken to the jail because there are multiple cases against him. There is no one case against him, multiple cases. At the same time, Imran Khan has started this jail baro tehreek just to normalize this discourse of that, okay, the government is going to arrest people. Okay, just make this course normalize, because he is trying to make these people that we are not criminals. Okay, we get arrested. We are not criminals. We have not done any crimes. So I think it all depends. It will go to the Supreme Court of the Pakistan, and it will be decided whether, because the real question is of the elections. So whether the elections will be in this October, November, or the elections will be in April. So that is how it will be decided. But what it seems is that Imran Khan, this year for Imran Khan is not going to be good, because either he will stay in jail, he will start an agitation, and he believes that the only way is to start an agitation is because the government is facing financial crisis. There is an IMF pressure. There is a political polarization in the country. So the better for Imran Khan is to stay on the roads, keep pressurizing the incumbent government in the federal structure, keep telling the international community do not finance Shahbaz Sharif and his government.
Yes.
Because just yesterday, the former federal minister Fawad Chaudhry appealed to the international community, just do not allow Shahbaz Sharif anywhere in the world, and don't give him visas. So they have reached to that point where they believe that they should do every possible thing, what they call use every tool in the arsenal to malign the federal government so that they come in power.
Yes,
in reality,
but where does that really
Imran,
leave Pakistan? And I want to get Rabindranath Sachdev also, because in the end, there is political turmoil, there is economic crisis, it's in complete doldrums. There's also on the terror front, we're seeing attacks that are taking place. It's the snakes in their own backyard that have been biting them. And the biggest loser is the voter or the common man in Pakistan. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Because clearly it's a crisis that Shahbaz Sharif no longer can contain.
Thank you so much, Poonam. There is no light at the end of the tunnel, unfortunately. If anything, maybe there's a big blast or a big bang at the end of the tunnel, and then Pakistan can begin again if it can. On the economic front, even if Pakistan agrees to the IMF terms, wherein actually they are pinching the military. The IMF is asking, cut down your military pensions. The IMF is saying, cut down, the Fauji Foundation, which runs all the businesses in Pakistan, $26 billion annual revenue, is a tax-exempt organization. IMF is saying, bring them under the tax umbrella, and other. Even if Pakistan agrees to all these terms, it will not get the money. It will have a piece of paper with which it will have to go to the bilateral countries who have also lent it the money and get them also to agree to a common page, and then come back to the IMF and say that, okay, they have also restructured my loans, 5-year, 10-year, waiver or a moratorium. Now release some money. IMF in that case will release about $1.1 billion. It is peanuts. Pakistan, Pakistan Islamabad metro is mortgaged. The Pakistan International Airport, Lahore, Karachi, Multan are mortgaged. Pakistan TV, Pakistan Radio, they have 61 buildings across the country, are mortgaged to lenders. Pakistan's all major highways, the toll roads are mortgaged. There is virtually no light at the end of tunnel for Pakistan from the economic point of view, most unfortunately, one. Second, Imran Khan, yes, I would feel, with all due respect to our earlier speaker, I think Imran Khan, politically speaking, is on the up. See, he's playing on two factors. One, anti-Americanism, and which very clearly resonates deeply with the common man in Pakistan. And as you said, he's taken on the elite. For the first time, anybody is saying that our elite, our military establishment are the ones corrupt and siphoning away the money. And that's a fact, by the way. And also that they are, puppets of a foreign power. Absolutely, yes. They've, been puppeteered by either the US or China. So Imran has a very strong argument, I think, which resonates with people. Another strong point with Imran is he is talking Islam. He says, I took to the United Nations, got a day against Islamophobia declared for, I think, the March of 15th and all. So, he's kind of, he's hegemonizing, or he's capturing the space of anti-Americanism, anti-elite, corruption, Islam. All of these things are together. And now with this latest thing happening, it's like the victimization.
Yes.
So for Imran Khan, this is the up. Shahbaz Sharif government will not be able to make any iota of a progress on the economic front. Sri Lanka, the economic crisis and IMF came and all. Till date, Sri Lanka has not received a single penny from the IMF, even though Sri Lanka has agreed with the IMF on several terms like increasing the GST, taxes, etc., etc. Why? Because Sri Lanka had to then go to its bilateral lenders, primarily Japan, India, and China, and agree to a common waiver or a moratorium of 10 years. India and Japan agreed that, okay, our loans to Sri Lanka, we will moratorium for 10 years. China says, no, I want a moratorium only of 2 years. Unless this is solved, Sri Lanka is not getting a single penny from the IMF. Pakistan would face the same situations. So Pakistan, in terms of economy, unfortunately, and as you mentioned, terror. So it's a cocktail, a very, very dangerous cocktail, which is brewing inside Pakistan. And yes, Imran Khan, to my mind, as an observer, I think he is capitalizing on all of these things for his political benefit. But the present government can virtually do nothing, and even when Imran Khan comes, he will also not be able to do anything. But as you said, and Chima ji was saying also that, being in opposition, you have no accountability. You can claim whatever you want. And the publics will be so tired by the Sharif government and saying, okay, we will do something. Electricity rates are going up. There are no, prices of... So, all of that out there. Yes. So Imran Khan, I think, has a good political future, if you pardon me. But... Pakistan, I do not see.
Yes, it could be that sympathy wave, that sympathy vote that he rides on, because Kamar Chima, many in Pakistan would want to believe that he is going to meet the fate of perhaps Nawaz Sharif, where you face the law and then you are driven into oblivion, perhaps into exile.
Well, I think Imran may not go in exile. Imran's politics is different from Sharif's. He will try to stay in power, try to stay in jail in Pakistan, because Imran Khan does everything that makes him popularize. His every narrative is about getting relevant into the masses, being more relevant, keeping more space in the political spectrum. So this is what he does. And whatever he has been doing is that, as Mr. Jha was talking about, he has targeted West America. He targets military. He targets everyone just to stay most relevant. And he has been very successful so far. And he's popular. He is the most popular politician in the country right now. But since he has locked his head, horns with the establishment in the country, since he believes that if he will come in power, and then things will be okay. I think the Pakistan's political realities are a little different. Here in Pakistan, any political government which comes in power, either they come with a thin majority in the National Assembly, because that is the only way they do not make choices which are not acceptable to the powerful corridors. So the apparatus in Pakistan has always been to not to let any political party or any political dispensation to have 2/3 majority, because that creates imbalance in the country. And so far, the political class in Pakistan has been divided in a way, or the political vote bank has been divided in a way or their political loyalties of the winning horses have been shifted from one party to another party to minimize the number of the top political parties in the National Assembly. So
Right.
Imran Khan, with this political wave, if he comes up, he can come up with a two-third majority. So how to neutralize Imran Khan's two-third majority? There is the possibility of that we should not let Imran Khan to have two-third majority if he's the most powerful politician,
Yes,
and
which is
in
exactly why
reality
I said
becomes.
right at the beginning that this perhaps could be a catch-22 situation for the administration there, because yes, law needs to take its own course, but at a time like this, if Imran Khan is really arrested, then that could perhaps be the death knell for Shahbaz Sharif and their political future. What happens next, what the court decides, we'll find out in just a few minutes from now. But I thank you both gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your
Thank you.
perspective. We are slipping into a quick break. Back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
US President Joe Biden has landed in Kyiv. Remember, he's en route to Poland. He's supposed to go to Warsaw tomorrow. So this is en route to Poland. You can see the first pictures of US President Joe Biden just as we approach the first anniversary of this war. This war was launched on the 24th of February. It's going to be exactly a year by the end of this week. So on the week when Ukrainians will be looking back at this torrid year that it has been for them and for their country, Joe Biden, arguably the world's most powerful man, the world's most powerful politician, landing up in Kiev, expressing solidarity with the Ukrainian people, expressing solidarity with Vladimir Zelensky's government. Remember, he has led a rather valiant effort to take on a much stronger, much bigger army of Russia and a much bigger leader in Vladimir Putin. So this is a huge message of support from the American president to his Ukrainian counterpart and also to the Ukrainian people, that America is standing firmly and solidly behind this war effort. This is, of course, as far as Ukraine is concerned, an attempt to try, this is an existential crisis. I mean, if they lose this war, they lose their country. And as the country marks 1 year of this brutal war after having been launched as a special military operation by Vladimir Putin, it is now confirmed, and you can see these pictures of President Joe Biden of the United States walking down central Kiev. He's meeting with President Zelensky and other senior members of the Ukrainian government. He will be subsequently going to Warsaw tomorrow, but we're expecting a briefing by senior government officials of Ukraine any moment now. In the run-up to this touchdown, as it were, of course, this was a highly secretive visit. It was kept under wraps for a number of days in the run-up to this visit. And even this morning, you know, it is not like information was trickling in either from the U.S. White House administration or from media reports in the U.S. about the possibility of Biden, touching down in Kiev. But now you can see those live pictures of U.S. President Joe Biden in Kiev, meeting with Zelensky as well as other senior leaders of the Ukrainian government. He's going to spend a few hours there and then make his way towards Warsaw to Poland, where he's expected to give a major speech tomorrow on this 1 year war effort. So clearly, this is a big, big moment. Symbolically, maybe not materially, but definitely symbolically, the fact that the US president is in Kiev. We've had, the UK Prime Minister, when Boris Johnson was the UK Prime Minister, he had gone to Kiev. We've seen other leaders, the former Israeli Prime Minister had gone to Kiev, but we haven't seen the American president go to Kiev since this war began. So I think it's a significant moment, this, definitely high on optics, high on solidarity, the photographs, the symbolism, that'll be huge. But what may this translate into in terms of material support for Ukraine, I think that is something that we'll have to wait and watch out for.
Absolutely. And Zaka, like you rightly said, this is one of the very important, in fact, decisive moments in Joe Biden's presidency. And of course, all eyes will be on that very speech, or the kind of messaging that he sends out to Russia through that speech in Warsaw.
Absolutely. So that was there you can see the still, you can see both Zelensky and Biden to the right and Zelensky to his left. They are walking down downtown Kiev is what we've been told. This is a hugely symbolic moment, no doubt about it. Like I said, since this war began, the US president has not touched down in Kiev. He has now. And the fact that this entire visit was supposed to be to Poland tomorrow. He was supposed to make a big speech there in Poland. But en route to Poland, en route to Warsaw, he's now landed in Kyiv. And it's a significant photographic sort of memory, if you will, or a turn in the road as far as this war is concerned, because it's signaling unequivocal support. I think these images will be on the front pages of all newspapers, from the New York Times to Washington Post. All websites across the world are going to be carrying this. Television channels like CNN News18 are reporting this. I think it's hugely powerful on symbolism. Materially, will he make any new announcement of further military aid? Remember, the US is committed to the Abrams tanks. That announcement was made just a few weeks ago. The US alone has contributed close to $50 billion in military and non-military aid to Ukraine since this war began. The Europeans have contributed a substantial number as well. So I think this is going to be, again, read in Western capitals, certainly as a message of solidarity. That's how it's going to be perceived in Kyiv as well. But in Moscow, I think Putin is going to be watching this very, very closely as this war grinds into some kind of a stalemate, and people are expecting a spring offensive by Russia. They're expecting an air assault and possibly further ground assaults as well, particularly in eastern Ukraine, where in places like Bakhmut, it seems like the crisis, that this war has ground down into a stalemate. So I think at a time such as this, for Joe Biden to land up in Kyiv, be seen side by side with Zelensky, walk down, some of the main streets there, is conveying an absolutely unequivocal message of support and solidarity with Ukraine. And I think this is a significant moment. It's really high on symbolism, and this photograph, like I said, is going to be pasted all across news media outlets around the world.
Zaka, how does one read this? Is a big development that's coming in from Ukraine. The entire attendance of Joe Biden there.
Oh, it's a huge story. The fact that Joe Biden, the US president, is today in Kyiv. He's meeting with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, as well as other senior officials. These are the first pictures that we have of him in downtown Kyiv, in central Kyiv. Remember, for the last hour or so in Kyiv, air raid sirens have been going off. That is to indicate that there is a VVIP movement. There are videos doing the rounds of social media as well of his cavalcade passing by downtown Kyiv. We can now confirm Leslia Velenko, who is a senior Ukrainian member of parliament, has confirmed that US President Joe Biden has landed in Kyiv. Remember, he's en route to Poland. He's supposed to go to Warsaw tomorrow. So this is en route to Poland. You can see the first pictures of US President Joe Biden just as we approach the first anniversary of this war. This war was launched on the 24th of February. It's going to be exactly a year by the end of this week. So on the week when Ukrainians will be looking back at this torrid year that it has been for them.
Welcome back. It's a move that is going to have massive ripples around the world. United States President Joe Biden was in Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv, just a short while ago. Now, this is Joe Biden's surprise visit to highlight American support for the Ukrainian people, for President Volodymyr Zelensky and his efforts against Russia. The visit comes days before the first anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The trip marks the first time that Joe Biden has traveled to Ukraine as president. Now, it may be noted that Joe Biden has announced a new military aid package for Ukraine worth $500 million. This will include more military equipment, including artillery ammunition, more javelins and howitzers as well. Both of the leaders spoke about strengthening their cooperation diplomatically, economically and militarily, also sending a message to Vladimir Putin that the West is not divided. 1 year in, the world still stands with Ukraine.
No, it was 1 year ago this week that we spoke on the telephone, Mr. President, because I asked you next, what is there, Mr. President? What can I do for you? How can I be of help? And I don't know if you remember what you said to me, but you said, and I quote, "Gather the leaders of the world, ask them to support Ukraine." You know, 1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands. The American stands with you, and the world stands with you.
In this room, the team of President Biden. I'm very happy to welcome you in Ukraine. It is a great honor for me and for all of us. We have just had negotiations with the President of the United States in the vis-a-vis format, and then we had a wide discussion with the involvement of our teams. These conversations brings us closer to the victory, and we hope that this year, the 2023, will become a year of victory. This unprovoked and criminal Russia's war against Ukraine and against the whole world and democratic world has to end with liberating the whole of Ukraine's territory from Russia's occupation and the solid guarantees of the long-term security for our country as well as the Europe and the whole world.
Sanjay Suri, my colleague, reporting from Ukraine. And Sanjay, it was an unexpected stopover by the United States president. The messaging was loud and clear. It was high on optics, but it also was high on promises made to the people of Ukraine.
Well, optics don't get higher than this. They really never have been higher. President Biden did not say anything particularly new in Kyiv. The $500 million arms announcement is relatively minor, of course, not insignificant at all. The differences, and this is the critical difference, the massive difference, that he said this in Kyiv, that he undertook that visit. As he arrived, he was greeted by sirens of air raid alarms. He disregarded those. The Americans disregarded those. They went ahead and they had their meetings. President Biden did a walkabout on the streets of Kyiv. He had the meetings with Zelensky. And as Biden announced, he has been to Ukraine several times, to Kyiv several times, that he has a personal involvement and knowledge about Ukrainian matters, and that can make a very big difference at moments such as this. This is a strong commitment, the strongest possible expression there could have been from America, and there have been many strong expressions, but this really would get Moscow quite worried.
Absolutely, because as we near the first anniversary of the Russian invasion, we are going to be seeing an increased onslaught from the Russian side. So this additional military aid, the announcement of sanctions that the United States is going to be making in the coming few days is going to be extremely crucial.
Well, of course, given the timings of these things, anything announced now or even agreed now is not going to get here in time in the next few days. That anticipated invasion has actually begun already. We kept hearing about the spring offensive. Well, for a start, it's not spring yet. It's really winter. It's sub-zero here in Ukraine and even colder on the border areas where the fighting is underway. The Russians are making slow progress. That is partly due to winter conditions, but clearly the Russians have begun their new push already. They are not getting far also because the Ukrainians are offering very strong resistance. And this time the Ukrainians are better trained, better prepared, better armed. Russia is going to struggle to make headway. And if Russia continues to fail, as it has been doing, not just fail, but to be in retreat on many fronts, as it has been from Kyiv, from Kharkiv, from Kherson, if setbacks continue, things could get very difficult for Putin domestically as well. But clearly, this is now a big moment. It's a historic moment, a pivotal moment in this war for President Biden to have visited Kyiv.
Absolutely, a turning point as we near the first anniversary of the beginning of the war. And Sanjay, do keep getting us the details of what transpires there on ground. But for the moment, thank you so much for getting us the latest. Ruslan Botnik, Director of Ukrainian Institute of Politics, joins us on this broadcast. Ashok Sajanhar, former diplomat here in India as well, joining me. And Ruslan Botnik, I'd like to get you in first. The significance of this is massive. It's high on optics. It could not get any bigger than this. A surprise stopover by the United States president just a few days before Ukraine marks the first anniversary of the war.
Yes, of course. I see three main goals of this visit to Ukraine. The first goal is to show for Russia that the United States doesn't recognize the Russian red lines in Ukraine, and the United States thinks that Ukraine is a part of Western world, not the part of Russian influence zone. The second signal is to support to personally Zelensky and his team, because Ukraine last month had a lot of corruptional scandals inside of Ukraine, political scandals. And this visit of Mr. Biden shows that Biden's administration still absolutely, definitely supports Zelensky and his team. And the third goal, we should remember that the United States is near the new election time, and it's good start for Biden to start for the re-election campaign in the United States, because this visit shows that Biden is not a very experienced person. It's not only a very experienced person, but very dynamic, brave, and stronger leader, which should be or maybe re-elected in the United States. Also, the last thing which I want to say, it's very interesting thing happens today, because this visit, Biden's visit to Kyiv, at the same time we see the visit 1E to the Moscow, and it happens after the negotiation between United States and China in Munich, in Germany, a few days ago. Maybe behind the stands, behind the curtains, there is also some kind of peaceful negotiation dialogue, because China promised her new plan, peaceful plan for Ukraine till the end of this month.
Yes, now we were expecting Joe Biden to, speak of Ukraine, to extend support when he was going to be in Warsaw. That's really where he was headed when this unannounced visit or the stopover was made. As far as Russia's reaction to this is concerned, Mr. Botnik, how do you think that's going to play out? Because we were expecting that the aggression is only going to increase in the days leading up to the anniversary, and this perhaps is only going to trigger a bigger onslaught from the Russian side. Mr. Botnik? We'll try and reconnect that line. I believe we've lost the connection with Ruslan Botnik with us. But Ashok Sajanhar is with me. And Mr. Sajanhar, diplomatically, this sends a very big message. Like I said, the optics can't get any bigger than this, perhaps. But it's not just about the optics. There is a lot that the United States has promised to the people of Ukraine, to the country, as well in terms of military and economic aid.
No, absolutely. You're very right, Shivani. I don't think it's only about optics. You know, the president of the United States doesn't travel to a war zone just for optics. I think there's much more than that. There's much greater substance. Of course, you know, what has been said by the other speaker before me, that it is definitely a direct and a strong message to Russia that the United States and NATO and the Western Alliance is there in Ukraine to stay till for as long as it takes. You know, it was the impression or the calculation or the assessment of Russia that once the winter comes and the energy price is so high and the infrastructure, energy infrastructure, having been devastated by the Russian attacks, that Ukraine will not be able to take it any longer. It will succumb. As far as the other countries which are supportive of Ukraine, they will also have an increasing, war fatigue that will set into their countries, because the economies will decline, the inflation will go up, the energy prices will go up. All this has happened, but it is still not visible in terms of any sort of war fatigue. You have seen what happened at the Munich Security Conference. You've seen what happened at the Ramstein, NATO meeting. All of them have together and unreservedly, they have expressed their support for Ukraine for as long as it takes. And I think there could not be a more emphatic statement in this context than the visit of Mr. Biden himself. Of course, there is domestic politics, US politics also, that is associated with it, because the Republicans having taken over the House of Representatives, and the Republicans are not particularly supportive of what the United States or the NATO alliance is doing to all out help Ukraine. But I think here, by coming himself in person, Biden has demonstrated his leadership qualities, that he can take a stand when it is required, when it is needed.
Yes.
So I think this is a huge statement, and it will be a huge shot in the arm, both as far as the Ukrainian fighting prowess is concerned, and also Zelensky's position and standing, both in the country as well as in the region is concerned.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Raslan Botnik, I'd like to get you in again. And, how do you think Moscow is going to react to this? Allies of Ukraine, NATO has been talking of, or at least preparing for a spring offensive, so to say, by Russia. As we head up to the first anniversary, we were expecting an increased onslaught from Russia. In any case, do you think Joe Biden's this visit and the kind of comments that have come to the fore are perhaps going to aggravate and rattle Russia further?
Russia is going to continue her escalation and her offensive operation, which she started a few weeks ago in the east with much more power. This week it is still not successful, but Russia will continue this offensive operation. Russia maybe thinking over another methods how to fight with Ukraine and Western partners in Ukraine, and there is a big risks that this war should be explicated in other regions. For example, in Moldova, there is a very strange situation, or in the Middle East, situation around Iran. And also Moscow is waiting and trying to coherate their position with China, and this peaceful plan of China, it should be a part with Moscow, negotiation with Moscow.
Yes.
But we should understand that Russia has a limited range of possibilities how to influence in this situation. And even if we're talking about today's visit Biden's to Kyiv, Russia couldn't do anything strong, dangerous for Biden's in this situation, and couldn't stop this visit to his zone of influence, like in Moscow thinks.
Yes. Yes, so what happens next, how Russia reacts, and how well is Ukraine and the allies prepared? We'll, of course, keep an eye out here. CNN News 18 has been getting you the latest from on ground as well. But I'd like to thank both gentlemen for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. Now, we already have reactions coming in from across the world because this was a surprise stopover by the US president. China has now reacted to Joe Biden's visit to Kyiv. They say, and I quote, US, not China, that has been pouring weapons into the battlefield in Ukraine. US is in no position to tell China what to do. China will never accept US finger-pointing or coercion as far as Russia-China relations go. Support pouring in for Russia as well. Abhishek, my colleague, joining us for more on this. Abhishek, this is on expected lines, some would say?
Of course, Poonam, because we know that just yesterday, Secretary Blinken, who was in Munich security dialogue, on the silence of this dialogue, he had said that he is expecting or anticipating that soon China may be helping Russia with more ammunition and arms in fight against Ukraine. We have seen reports where Russian military establishment has been severely dented by the loss in terms of human resources, personnel, and also of almost of 30% or 30 to 40% of its battlefield ammunition armory has been reported to have been lost in the war. So clearly, Russia is in need of a lot of modern weaponry. So it is looking forward to have it from Iran. And now, if China also starts pouring in its resources in support of Russia, then clearly there will be another level of escalation, and that was the concern that Secretary Blinken was expressing. But now China has, in its response, said that the USA has been pouring in a lot of arms and ammunition in Ukraine, and USA should not finger point other countries who have not so far contributed in this war, but they should introspect and they should look within as to how they have been trying to increase the scale of war by helping Ukraine with a lot of ammunition and arms.
Yes, China is the first to react. It will be interesting to see how Moscow reacts to this. Do keep a track of that. But for the moment, Abhishek, thank you so much for getting us the latest. CNN News 18's managing editor, Zaka Jacobs, spoke exclusively with Ukrainian MP. Take a look at what she had to say about the significance of Joe Biden's visit.
In terms of messaging, clearly this is a great photo opportunity. This is full of symbolism. Your president and the president of the United States standing side by side in your presidential palace. But how may this translate on the ground in terms of the war effort? Everybody's talking about this imminent spring offensive. How will this change materially the stalemate that we're seeing on the ground and have seen for the last few weeks now?
First of all, I disagree with you that we do have a stalemate on the Bakhmut and Soledar dimension. Actually, Ukrainian soldiers are keeping the defense against Moscow aggression, and we are awaiting for the approach of the military help from our Western partners. And I think with this visit, Joe Biden has shown the possibility for us to get as soon as possible everything we need, and especially anti-rocket systems. Very important, as today we have a very symbolical date. 9 years ago in 10 years ago in 2014, that was a day of the big losses on the Revolution of Dignity. More than 117 people died just because of the peaceful protests in Kyiv. For all the Ukrainians, this is a day where we mourn together and where we take our strengths to go on with the fight for our democratic land. For military people that are on the ground, it means immediate supplies. And of course, it is the message for Putin that it's better to stop. It's better not to attack Ukraine, as the democratic world is united together to withstand Moscow aggression.
The U.S. president did mention that there's going to be additional $500 million of aid. We don't know, what material form that's going to take. I know the Ukrainian side has been asking for fighter jets. The West hasn't come to a conclusion where fighter jets need to be given to Ukraine at this stage of the war. How do you see the needle of this war itself moving in a significant way in the next few days and weeks? Because, like I said, it seems like it's a stalemate over the last few weeks.
Ukrainian army is growing, and we are taking any effort to get rid of the Moscow occupant on our land. What we are lacking, it's not just a question of jets. We need all the necessary elements for Ukraine, for artillery that we have on the front line. We need the weapon that could be used immediately.
Passing by downtown Kiev, we can now confirm Leslia Velenko, who is a senior Ukrainian member of parliament, has confirmed that US President Joe Biden has landed in Kiev. Remember, he's en route to Poland. He's supposed to go to Warsaw tomorrow. So this is en route to Poland. You can see the first pictures of US President Joe Biden just as we approach the first anniversary of this war. This war was launched on the 24th of February. It's going to be exactly a year by the end of this week. So on the week when Ukrainians will be looking back at this torrid year that it has been for them and for their country, Joe Biden, arguably the world's most powerful man, the world's most powerful politician, landing up in Kiev, expressing solidarity with the Ukrainian people, expressing solidarity with Vladimir Zelensky's government. Remember, he has led a rather valiant effort to take on a much stronger, much bigger army of Russia and a much bigger leader in Vladimir Putin. So this is a huge message of support from the American president to his Ukrainian counterpart and also to the Ukrainian people, that America is standing firmly and solidly behind this war effort. This is, of course, as far as Ukraine is concerned, an attempt to try, this is an existential crisis. I mean, if they lose this war, they lose their country. And as the country marks 1 year of this brutal war after having been launched as a special military operation by Vladimir Putin, it is now confirmed, and you can see these pictures of President Joe Biden of the United States walking down central Kiev. He's meeting with President Zelensky and other senior members of the Ukrainian government. He will be subsequently going to Warsaw tomorrow, but we're expecting a briefing by senior government officials of Ukraine any moment now. In the run-up to this touchdown, as it were, of course, this was a highly secretive visit. It was kept under wraps for a number of days in the run-up to this visit. And even this morning, it is not like information was trickling in either from the U.S. White House administration or from media reports in the U.S. about the possibility of Biden, touching down in Kiev But now you can see those live pictures of US President Joe Biden in Kyiv, meeting with Zelensky as well as other senior leaders of the Ukrainian government. He's going to spend a few hours there and then make his way towards Warsaw to Poland, where he's expected to give a major speech tomorrow on this one-year war effort. So clearly, this is a big moment. Symbolically, maybe not materially, but definitely symbolically, the fact that the US president is in Kiev. We've had, the UK Prime Minister, when Boris Johnson was the UK Prime Minister, he had gone to Kiev. We've seen other leaders, the former Israeli Prime Minister had gone to Kiev, but we haven't seen the American president go to Kiev since this war began. So I think it's a significant moment, this. Definitely high on optics, high on solidarity, the photographs, the symbolism. That'll be huge. But what may this translate into in terms of material support for Ukraine, I think that is something that we'll have to wait and watch out for.
Absolutely. And Zaka, like you rightly said, this is one of the very important, in fact, decisive moments in Joe Biden's presidency. And of course, all eyes will be on that very speech, or the kind of messaging that he sends out to Russia through that speech in Warsaw.
Absolutely. So that was there you can see the still, you can see both Zelensky and Biden to the right and Zelensky to his left. They are walking downtown Kiev is what we've been told. This is a hugely symbolic moment, no doubt about it. Like I said, since this war began, the US president has not touched down in Kiev. He has now. And the fact that this entire visit was supposed to be to Poland tomorrow, he was supposed to make a big speech there in Poland. But en route to Poland, en route to Warsaw, he's now landed in Kiev, and it's a significant, photographic sort of memory, if you will, or a turn in the road as far as this war is concerned, because it's signaling unequivocal support. I think these images will be on the front pages of all newspapers, from the New York Times to Washington Post. All websites across the world are going to be carrying this. Television channels like CNN News18 are reporting this. I think it's hugely powerful on symbolism. Materially, will he make any new announcement of further military aid? Remember, the US is committed to the Abrams tanks. That announcement was made just a few weeks ago. The US alone has contributed close to $50 billion in military and non-military aid to Ukraine since this war began. The Europeans have contributed a substantial number as well. So I think this is going to be, again, read in Western capitals, certainly as a message of solidarity. That's how it's going to be perceived in Kiev as well. But in Moscow, I think Putin is going to be watching this very, very closely as this war grinds into some kind of a stalemate, and people are expecting a spring offensive by Russia. They're expecting an air assault and possibly further ground assaults as well, particularly in eastern Ukraine, where in places like Bakhmut, it seems like the crisis, that this war has ground down into a stalemate. So I think at a time such as this, for Joe Biden to land up in Kiev, be seen side by side with Zelensky, walk down, some of the main streets there, is conveying an absolutely unequivocal message of support and solidarity with Ukraine. And I think this is a significant moment. It's really high on symbolism, and this photograph, like I said, is going to be pasted all across news media outlets around the world.
Zaka, how does one read this? Is a big development that's coming in from Ukraine. The entire attendance of Joe Biden there.
Oh, it's a huge story. The fact that Joe Biden, the US president, is today in Kiev. He's meeting with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine, as well as other senior officials. These are the first pictures that we have of him in downtown Kiev, in central Kiev. Remember, for the last hour or so in Kiev, air raid sirens have been going off. That is to indicate that there is a VVIP movement. There are videos doing the rounds of social media as well of his cavalcade passing by downtown Kiev. We can now confirm Leslia Velenko, who is a senior Ukrainian member of parliament, has confirmed that US President Joe Biden has landed in Kiev. Remember, he's en route to Poland. He's supposed to go to Warsaw tomorrow. So this is en route to Poland. You can see the first pictures of US President Joe Biden just as we approach the first anniversary of this war. This war was launched on the 24th of February. It's going to be exactly a year by the end of this week. So on the week when
Welcome back. Last year, Indians downloaded 28 billion apps onto their mobile phones, 5% of the global total. But what happens to our data when we download these apps? CNN News 18's Akash Sharma gets us this eye-opening expose.
Back in 2020, the Indian government banned more than 100 Chinese apps for national security reasons. But many of these applications are now back in the Indian market, but with different identities.
Definitely, there are almost 50 to 60% apps those were banned during that time. I think there were more than 150 applications those were banned. And each of these applications had a huge user base in India. These were dangerous to that extent that they can steal lots of personal private information from our phones. But if you do a little deep dive, if you see that owners' details and that owners of their shareholding patterns, etc., you will identify easily that these are actually the same app. Their signature is same, but they are there on Play Store with different name.
CNN News 18 found that some of these suspected Chinese apps may have rebranded and relaunched, but they are up to their old tricks, illegally storing data of Indians. One such app is Tiki, which is allegedly owned by Bigo Technology, the same company which created apps like Leaky and Bigo Live.
So I did a little investigation on both these domains, ShareKaro and Tiki.video. Those are so claiming that they are owning these apps. On Tiki.video, we see the domain history, server history, that where this domain was hosted and the IP addresses. So you could see it through this simple website, viewdns.info, where we just typed this domain and we found that this server was hosted in different IP addresses. And two of these IPs are from Hong Kong. And these are owned by a company called Bigo Tech.
Honorable Prime Minister logot ina khota cholado country bra tahan logot jawab diase ballot box te digina jawab diase Nagaland te thaga manu onge bi kobole monase ki ina ka word ama na Honorable Prime Minister logot cholado sob manu rai to oppose kurbo lage.
मित्रों, जब कांग्रेस की सरकार केंद्र में हुआ करती थी, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास के लिए 5 लाख में 5 साल में 2 लाख करोड़ रुपीस का खर्च होता था और मोदी जी ने इतने ही समय में 7 लाख करोड़ रुपीस का खर्च कर पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास को, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को अपग्रेड करने का काम किया है।
साथीगण पहिला कांग्रेस ला गवर्नमेंट टाइम दे 5 साल दे तहन 2 लाख करोड़ एकला फैलाइसे पूरा नॉर्थ ईस्ट करने होलिबी इडिया मोदी जी ला गवर्नमेंट दे 7 लाख करोड़ फैलाइसे और पूरा नॉर्थ ईस्ट दे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट करिसे।
इन 2009-10 नागालैंड को 1300 करोड़ रुपीस कांग्रेस ने दिया था और इन 2022-23 1300 करोड़ को बढ़ाकर 4800 करोड़ रुपीस देने का काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की मोदी सरकार ने किया है।
2009-10 दे नागालैंड दे कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट ब्रा 1300 करोड़ एकला दिसे होलिबी इजा 2022-23 दे इजा मोदी लगा गवर्नमेंट ब्रा 4800 करोड़ दिबले डिसीजन लेगिना आसे।
और मित्रों, नागालैंड के ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में बैंक अकाउंट नहीं थे। मोदी सरकार बनने के बाद 3.50 लाख परिवार के बैंक अकाउंट खोलने का काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने किया है।
नागालैंड ने बुस्ती जगह दे बैंक खान थागने ओलिबी मोदी गवर्नमेंट आएगा 3.50 लाख बैंक अकाउंट खोली दीजिए।
100 साल के बाद नागालैंड में सोखुवी में रेलवे स्टेशन के रूप में धनसारी सोखुवी रेलवे लाइन शुरू कर नागालैंड को दूसरा रेलवे स्टेशन देने का काम किया है। पहला अंग्रेज बनाकर गए थे, दूसरा मोदी जी ने बनाया है।
100 years पीछे दे नागालैंड दे सेकेंड रेलवे स्टेशन मोदी जी लगा गवर्नमेंट ब्रा बनाइसे। पहिला बनावाला दो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट ब्रा कुरिसे ओलिबी इटिया धनसारी सोखुवी लगा सेकेंड रेलवे स्टेशन नागालैंड दे मोदी जी लगा गवर्नमेंट ब्रा कुरिसे।
और नागालैंड में 4126 करोड़ रुपये से 266 किलोमीटर का 15 नेशनल हाईवे बनाने का काम भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने अप्रूव किया है।
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The Indian National Congress has lost 90% of the elections to Bharatiya Janata Party in the last 10 years. And one thing that goes against it almost all the time is name-calling against the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Yet it seems the Congress hasn't learned any lessons. Charges of personal corruption, for example, especially haven't worked out